Team, welcome back. Today we're sitting down with Lorena Mari. She's an occupational therapist working with children between the ages of, 0 to 16. And going into this episode, I didn't know how much I'd A, take away from this conversation, but B, be able to contribute because I'm not a dad yet. But it is one of the coolest episodes I think I've ever done on this podcast. And I was just gripped to everything she was saying because it just put into perspective so much of my upbringing, the way that I see parents raising their children, and ways that I'm thinking about already how I want to raise my child. So if you're a parent, if you're a human being, a lot of the things that she's talked about will have applied to you at some point in your life, and it just brings amazing context to everything. So whether you're a human being listening to this podcast, you've got a child, or you've got a child coming, or you want a child one day, I highly, highly recommend this podcast. You're gonna love it. Loren Mari, welcome to the Process Podcast.
Thank you.
How are you
Thanks
doing
for
today?
having me. Good. It's Friday. Happy Friday.
Are you a Friday person? I heard you say Friday earlier.
No, definitely
did you
didn't say
not?
that.
We did not.
Yeah.
When were you doing a mic test?
Not me.
Al,
She
did
said
you
happy
not?
Friday. That's what
Friday.
she said.
Day.
Okay, not Friday.
You're a boomer. Only you say Friday.
Isabel, you are once again joining us today.
I am. Hello.
Love having you on the podcast with us. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
What's a boomer, by the way? Why do you always call me a boomer?
That's your age range. And that's because you don't know what a boomer is. Just shows that you're a boomer.
I thought boomers were post-war babies.
That's what you are.
Okay, so it's a joke. Okay, Lorena, we are here to talk about you. You are the guest of the show today, and you are on because you are doing some pretty damn cool stuff. I think you also have some amazing knowledge, wisdom around the field of work that you do, which we're going to learn all about today. So I think just to kick things off, who are you and what do you do?
No pressure. So I am Lorena. I'm first and foremost a mom of a 2-year-old, a little girl, and I am an occupational therapist. So I work specifically in pediatrics. I've been in the field for 13 years now, so quite a while. And basically work with kids anywhere from 2 all the way up to about 16, can be 18, but 16 is kind of where I work. And yeah, that's so as an occupational therapist, I work with kids of all types of things that they need help with. So whether it's fine motor skills, gross motor skills, visual perceptual skills, probably things that I might have to explain in more detail, sensory processing or self-care. So those are kind of the range of activities or things that I support with. And basically, as an occupational therapist, our first and foremost goal is to help with everyday life activities. So somebody would see us if a child is struggling with play, with learning, things that give them purpose and meaning in everyday activities. So if they're having trouble, for example, getting dressed in the morning, they might come see us. If they're having trouble engaging in school because they have trouble with writing or attention, they'll come see us. So yeah, range of different things.
Okay, I'm very curious to hear like how you got into this in the first place, but I think some context for our listeners. You two know each other.
We
Yes.
do.
You also, your children, Ella and Isla,
Mm-hmm.
also very similar names,
Yeah,
are the same age,
they are. A week
and
of 2
and
weeks
they're
apart.
bezies. They're like good friends.
Yeah.
And they're
that's
wild.
and
They
they're
are
both wild.
wild.
So I think that's how we all got connected
Yeah.
on this podcast. Is like when you met Lorena. Tell me about did you know she was an occupational therapist? Were you seeing her do things that you were like, this is a little different than conventional, motherhood? Like, tell me how this whole relationship started.
Yeah, well, I was braver than I would be with any other relationship. I think it was just when things were happening in my personal life. Previously, with my partner, I would always see Lorena and Phil out with their daughter. They looked the same. They were going through, by look the same, I mean Ella and Isla looked the same. Not
I
same
thought
with
Lorena
parents.
and Phil.
No.
We kind of do.
They looked the same age, and they were always we were just within the same area. And then when everything happened, one day I just saw Lorena walk past us, and I walked past her actually. And then I took a deep breath and I was like, okay, I wanted Isla to have friends, and I wanted more of a community and a mom group. And because I just felt that kind of mutual energy whenever we even just passed. I was like, okay, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to ask her if our kids can have a play date. You know me. I would never
I'm very
do
impressed.
that. It's very out of my
Very,
comfort
very impressed.
zone.
100% picture you as well, just like stopping.
Just standing in the middle of the road being like,
It was a very busy time of the day as well. Like,
Come on, Izzy.
I was like literally looking into like a market store,
Yeah,
and I
literally.
remember just having a tap on my hand or
Yeah.
something like
it
that.
was very
I was-
awkward. It was like,
I'm impressed.
She
Well
did
done.
really well. I didn't
Yeah,
think
well
it was
done.
awkward. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, so basically just like our daughters seem to be the same age. Would you like to have a play date someday? And then that just like the rest was history kind of thing. And I think obviously I didn't know anything in the beginning, but as the relationship grew, just like any does, I found like our parenting styles were very similar, just in small things like letting our kids run around with no shoes, or like letting them be free and wild and not helicopter parents. And the way that she would be with Isla and Phil would be with Isla was always just loving and caring. And I feel like that's just what you need in a community, like people who are going to treat your kids like their own, and you're not afraid to leave your kids with other people because you know they would treat her just like they would treat their own child, and the way they treat their own child is in alignment with the way that you treat your child, if that
Okay,
makes
so
sense.
I'm not a dad yet. But is this something that you parents like do you genuinely think about this? You know, if you're seeing parents, you know, with their child, are you
Judging them? Hell yes.
didn't want to use the word judging, but you know, like you're making an assessment in this moment
Yes.
to be like,
Oh,
do I
hell
want
yes.
to okay.
I
Oh
think
my
you
God.
don't realize you would be like that more so until you become a parent, because as soon as you become a parent,
You're so protective.
you're so
just want
protective,
the
but
most, the
also
best,
yeah,
yeah.
but also in a way of like you do certain things with your child, and for example with us, letting them go bare feet as an example, or letting them take risks, right? So we're quite big risk takers, and then you see other parents who are like, no, be careful, stop, and
Or like walk around with a
and-
wet wipe, wiping their hands after
Yeah.
they touch everything. And you're just
and
like,
so we see like, okay, this is being stopped and that's not encouraged, and this, and then you're like, no, I need my child around something
Yeah,
similar,
you want
it
to
just
reinforce
the
things you're-
positive things. Exactly. So you'll see when you become a parent, suddenly it kind of shifts, and it gets really awkward. I think in future, we're definitely not there yet. And I think just speaking to other parents, where I think as teenagers and stuff, you parent differently, but you might be best friends with them, but you parent very differently. And I think eventually parents have
falling
falling out or things like that. Like I've thought about that like in future, where I'm like, that would really suck, you
Yeah.
know, if your best friend is completely polar opposite. Luckily, Phil and I, amongst our friends, were very similar. And I think him being South African, it's very much like we're all parenting as one. Like you can tell my kid off the same way I can tell your kid off, but we're all on the same page of why we would tell them off. And I think that's really strong. And I think that's the same thing with like Izzy and us. Like we're just as crazy as one another. So it works really well.
Okay, so I wasn't planning on asking this question so early
Okay.
on, but I'm genuinely
we go.
interested in hearing just because obviously this is just perspective, right? And other people are going to have their own opinions, but like, what are the red flags that you see with other parents and how they are
quite a few.
interacting or engaged? Like the big no-nos that you're like, no, okay, I'm not going to hang out with that person.
Well, we said some of them, I guess, like wiping hands all the time or wiping them down. Like,
and why? Tell me, like,
because
why?
they need the germs. It builds the immune system, right? So like my kid, I mean, shame, it kind of influenced Isla, to be honest, because she was the one that's always foraging in the forest and always getting like the nails dirty and the hands dirty and then touching the mouth. And yes, of course, as a parent, you're like, like it's a bit uncomfortable. But as an OT, I know like that's amazing. That's tactile, messy play right there, free nature. Hopefully in Hong Kong, without it being sprayed too much with all the chemicals and everything else, there's good stuff in there, and that's going to build your microbiome and it's going to build a stronger immune system. So I'm like, go for it. Whereas you pass so many parents and they're like, no, clean. And the amount of times I've heard like dirty, and I'm like, dirty is good. And I keep just trying to influence like, no, it's good and it's okay. Like I know what I'm doing. But also like, thank you so much for your input, but that's for your child. And I think, being dirty, like being too, as Izzy was saying, helicopter, or just not
Protecting for
encouraging
everything.
risk and holding them back, holding them too much in something. So,
So
like not
before
letting them
can we
explore.
go into this helicopter concept?
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is that you guys, and I see this with you, you know, you're happy to let your child try the thing, even if it doesn't end well for them, because I'm guessing that's the experience you want them to go through, and for them to decide themselves whether it's something they want to do in the future. Is that the concept? What's a helicopter got to do with it?
Well, to be honest, sometimes I feel like a helicopter parent, to be honest, in certain aspects, because like I struggle to, I'm just generally a very anxious person. So like, this is your number one person ever. You know, you love, obviously husband is included in that, but still, you know, it's your mini you, you know, like you become very protective of this mini you, and you'll see as soon as you become a parent. And I think, so part of me does sometimes think I helicopter, and I try to really hold back. But I think when it comes to taking risks and a physical aspect, it's like you can see what they're capable of and then push just a little bit more and allow that space for them to learn a little bit more and be there. I'm not saying let your child climb a climbing frame and be like, peace out, like see you tomorrow. No, like you got to be there in case they fall. And again, calculated risks, right? Like I know if she's going to fall from this, she'll be okay. She's not going to break her arm. But if I'm putting her on a monkey bar, I'll be underneath.
Yeah.
But can I be there but not maybe hold her the whole time? Can I just be my hands there? So it's small things like that. And I know as soon as she drops, I've got her. So it's just pushing a little bit more.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's this new concept on the internet, which I'm sure you've seen. It's called FO parenting, which is it's called fuck around and find out parenting.
Yes.
Which I very much resonate with. Not to the extreme point.
FAFO?
Fuck around and find out. Yes.
I've heard that. I haven't heard the short term.
Yeah. So it's like not to the point of like I'm going to let her get seriously injured, but I super resonate in the sense of it's like I've said no, but we have very defined children. Yours probably more than mine. And it's like if you're not going to listen and believe that I have your best interest in mind and you get hurt, tough.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's
she's not going to do it again.
I'd say Izzy's a bit more, even more courageous than I am, I'd say, to be honest. Because sometimes I'd be like, wow, like, that's good. Good on you. But I'm like, okay, I guess I got to push myself even more. Whereas I thought I was quite brave. But Izzy's definitely the brave one out of the two of us. And I'd say I'm quite brave.
I think it's also because, like, if she sees that I trust her, she trusts herself more.
Very
And then
true.
she's more willing to do other things by herself. So it's like, and again, it goes back to like just making sure they won't get super hurt, and then they'll believe in themselves. It encourages their own self-confidence that they can do hard things and that they'll keep trying to do it. So I really think that's my biggest red flag in parenting, is when I don't see people just letting kids be kids. And sometimes it's in the way like you're looking for an auntie now. Like I think that's a super important feature, that your auntie is also open, because we'll see like aunties running after kids being like, don't run. Or when they're sweating, they're like,
and just for listeners, aunties basically is like a helper.
Yeah.
So someone
you've
you're
brought into your
look after,
family, basically.
Or a
And-
nanny.
Yeah.
Or nanny.
Yeah. And it's like, it's important that you share your ideas of how you want to raise your child to them as well, because they're the next person that spends the most time with your child, right? And so I see that a lot. And yeah, it's all just building your child's self-confidence in their own abilities.
You know, it's like when you were just talking about that, it's like no different to what I try and do with the team at Coastal Fitness, right? You want to give people the ability to experiment and try and give them the trust. When you give them a job, it's like, we don't want to be micromanaging and telling them what to do, or holding their hand or checking over their shoulder every 2 seconds. Like, you got to try these things yourself as well, figure out what works, what doesn't, and then you will learn. And I think when people know they get given that trust and that freedom, they can really spread their wings. And as a company, those people end up just bringing this X factor to your business that I could never have thought of, perhaps.
And I think with that, like the same way, as owning a company or as being a parent, it's always the harder version, right? Like it's harder to let go and trust and give them the opportunity, right? Same as a parent. It's easier to step in and say, oh, that's too hard for you, don't do it. But you're, as Izzy said, you're breaking their self-esteem. You're kind of boosting your own self-esteem, as in like, I've got it for you, but stealing their confidence. And same in a company. Like it's so much easier to be like micromanaging. Did you do that? Did you do that? Is this done? Because then you feel better of like, okay, it's getting done and it's getting done my way, versus it's harder to let them.
You know, can I just jump in? Yeah, you go.
No. Well, I was going to go back to like practical things, like even things that I've learned from Lorena on like how this idea of like trusting your kid helps them and benefits them in their future is like, again, what she was saying is letting them, like sometimes what she means by like the harder option is also like the more frustrating option, or like the more time consuming option.
Time consuming.
Being like wearing their shoes. Oh my Lord. Sometimes like just trusting her to put on her shoes for 20 minutes, you're just like, I'm already late, but that benefits her, right? And like that's what I learned from Lorena. It's like you have to let them do those things, or like
Requires patience.
exactly, or even from the very beginning, the first explorations things is eating. So like we both did baby-led weaning, which is the hard way, the hard option. The easy option is spoon feeding puree, you know, rather than worrying about your kid choking or worried about food in all the four walls of your house. But it's like
Their own face.
all everywhere. But like that benefits them. And so maybe you can why you chose baby-led weaning. Like how does that physical touch and like what you were saying, the textures and stuff, like why that benefits?
So baby-led weaning is actually amazing in a lot of different ways. So just to give you context, it basically means you aren't just going down the puree form, but you're actually going to give real food to your child. So you'll give them a carrot stick. And
I remember you giving Isla steak.
Yes. Yeah. So one of the first foods will usually be like a sweet potato, avocado, a piece of steak, things like that. And again, just like anything in life, it's hard, but you reap the benefits later. At the beginning, you're like, why am I doing this?
Well, what's hard? Just because it's so slow?
Because time consuming, because first off, you're creating food that has to be a certain shape, a certain size, and it's most likely going to end up on the floor. So you're wasting food, you're making it a certain size, and also it is everywhere. So you're creating a huge amount of mess.
And because we care about our kids, it's the most expensive food on the shelf, which is being wasted.
Every blueberry, I'm like, that blueberry cost me $78. Stop putting
I think I would just eat whatever goes on the floor. I will make sure nothing goes to waste.
No, I was like, this is when you need a dog.
This is
like,
why you
honestly, this is why you have a dog. But yeah, I've also learned taking the food. There's a thing called, by the way, helping this brand, but catchy, and it catches the food. It's amazing. It's really clever, actually. And people have actually made recipes on the catched food. Very smart, like pancakes and things like that. But anyways, going back to the point. So with baby-led weaning, you are teaching them amazing oral motor skills because they're having to learn how to chew food. You're not just giving them puree they swallow. They're actually having to do the tongue movements from side to side, figure out where it is in their mouth, figuring out how to chew it, figuring out to swallow. Like there's a whole thing that you're going through, a whole process that's really, really important to avoid choking in the future. And on top of that, you are getting so much tactile feedback. So tactile is touch. You're getting the yogurt on your hands. You're getting it all over your face. You're getting it in your hair. Like you put it everywhere. It's fantastic for you. So it's just so much messy play that they're actually getting during the feeding. And I mean, there are endless benefits, honestly, but like those are just some of the main ones. And also connection, like you're supposed to obviously do it with your mom or dad being around and eating with you. So you're getting a lot through observation, like they're eating the steak, I'm eating the steak. It's not like, oh, it was a separate meal and I'm getting this puree food that looks nothing like the meal my mom gets. And if my mom chews the steak, that looks quite interesting. I wonder if I can chew the steak. And there's a lot of play around it too, like when it comes to picky eaters, which is an area I work in quite a lot. It's all about play. Like you don't go to a picky eater and say, you better eat your steak else you don't get your ice cream. That's one of the worst things you can do. So instead you would, for example, let's say it's peas or you want to expand on vegetables. Then you do the peas and you're like, oh, we can pop the peas, pop. And then the child's like, it's kind of fun. I'll maybe pop the pea. What you don't realize as a parent is actually touching is the first step out of the 28 steps. I believe it's 28 steps to feeding. So touch is literally like one of the first ones. It's actually not touch. It's actually allowing it on so you're already on like step, let's say 8 by touching. I don't remember exact order. But yeah, like having it on your plate, having it near you is like the first part, then like touching. So then I would pop it and then it's like, oh, and you maybe then as a parent, you're like, oh, I want to look at the pea. Oh my gosh, it's a green pea. And I'm going to describe it, make it interesting. It's a green pea and it pops and it's fun. And oh, there it goes. Oh, bounced on the floor. How fun. And then the kid touches it, brings it a bit closer to the face. Eventually, maybe give it a kiss. Oh, cute. Let's give it another kiss. Oh, it's mommy pea. Mwah. And then, something like that. And then they get really interested and eventually, whoops, it slides in the mouth and maybe they spit it back out. But again, you're a step closer to chewing and swallowing. So it's a really good introduction to also avoid more of the picky eating because it's messy, because it's fun, all of that. So yeah, there's a lot
You
of
know
benefits
what?
there.
So when I hear all this and I see all this, and I've got lots of friends who have kids, I think something that like scares me a little bit as a soon to be parent is like doing it wrong. Like how, because it just feels like there's so much
We're all
information.
doing it wrong.
There's so much information out there, right?
Yeah.
I think back to like maybe like the primal times when we all lived in a cave where it's like we didn't have the internet or anyone to tell. Like mothers would have just instinctively,
Not pureeing their food.
yeah, they would have instinctively just,
Here's a steak.
yeah, they would have
Exactly.
instinctively just figured out
Yeah.
like this is just the way that we do it. Like, have we just made this way
And I think
harder for ourselves? Or team, I want to quickly interrupt this episode to give a little shout out to our sponsors today. Well spent. This little journal has made such a massive, profound impact on my life since I started using it. When I started using it, I actually didn't know that it was backed by neuroscience, but now it totally makes sense. This has brought a ton of gratitude to my life. It keeps me on track and focused on the things I need to do day to day and brings a lot of context as to how each day fits within the greater week and the greater month. So if you, like me, really care about trying to be a high performer and want to do everything you can to make that happen, I cannot recommend this journal enough. Use our discount code, The Process, to grab yours today.
I think that's, first off, we're all doing something wrong, and that's okay. And I think
Because there actually is no right.
well, I think first off, give yourself a bit of grace as a parent, because if you don't, you're going to constantly be like, oh my God, I'm failing as a parent, because you're not going to know it all. And the point is not to know it all. I think the number one piece of advice, especially as an OT, that I can give a parent is actually go with your gut, because most of the time your gut is correct. You know, it's what's better for my child, sitting at a desk and learning or playing when they're 2 years old. Let's go with gut feeling, playing, because that's what we used to do. That's what is instinctual. That's natural. A child at 2, if you watch them, they never sit still. They explore and they move and they, look around them, and that's how they're learning, right? So we have this system where now they have to sit still for hours on end. That's not natural. So same thing with food. Is it natural for us to blend everything and give all these amazing utensils? There are utensils that are super helpful, but again, if you go back to basics and just as long as you provide it in a safe manner, you'll be okay. But I think what I mean by follow your gut is there's always a bit of that intuition of like, my child might need this. And a lot of times when parents come to me and they're like, I just sense that they needed this, they're usually on the right path. So, but yeah, definitely give yourself grace, because we're all, even as a professional, that's one thing, like it's been so interesting being a professional, working with kids, but then also being a mom. It's very different. You are completely 2 different roles. And I know certain things where I'm like, oh, I'm not always doing this, but I know I maybe should be. And I've also had to kind of go through this phase where, at the beginning, like I was like, I'm going to parent this way, with my OT brain. And then I did that for a while. And then suddenly around 1, I kind of faded away. And I think it's because I thought, well, she's doing everything. I don't have any concerns. I don't have any red flags that I would have in OT. So I don't need to focus on these. And then suddenly I realized, what are you talking about? Every child is going to benefit from the things you do in OT. And I started realizing I can do these things with my child, and I should be doing these things with my child. And then I reintegrated it again. But again, I can't do 100% what I do at work 100% with my child. Can I give it at 85%? Yes. And that's what I will do. But it's something like, let's say, a visual schedule. So like oftentimes as OTs, when kids have trouble transitioning between activities, we use something called a visual schedule. So it'll be like, first we get dressed, first we get up, then we shower, then we get dressed, whatever it is, eat our breakfast, go to school. And you would often use that with kids who are struggling with transitioning, or they might have anxiety, or they might just generally just have meltdowns because they don't know what's ahead, all of these things. But then I was like, well, my toddler's brain is in that phase no matter what. So why am I not bringing that in? Why am I not using a visual schedule? Why am I not, for example, now I've got a trip coming up going to Dallas, and I was like, I'm going to create a book. So I've created a book for her, and we talk about it every day, because for her, concepts of time and stuff is very difficult. But if I say we're going to Omi and we're going to go on a big plane, now we read this book about Omi and a big plane and all the exciting adventures ahead, it prepares her. And now she sees a plane, and every day she's like, Omi, Mama, Ella, Omi. And I'm like, yes. And she's like, Dada, home. So now she knows Dada's going to stay. So it just prepares her and gives her more at ease with those
Okay,
things.
one thing I think about a lot is so and I actually for years I've been thinking about how I want to try to like raise my child, or just like principles that I want to like, you know, embody in the way that we parent. But a lot of my ideology is when my child can communicate and talk. So what I was really impressed with Isla is like, and I now understand with a lot of the things that we were talking about before, is that you were using a lot of sign language. And so you were communicating with Isla long before she could actually speak. And so I think that's something that I think about, and I'm like, I have these concepts about, you know, we're going to be really open communicators. We're going to talk through problems.
Jesus Christ.
You know,
You're
like
not gonna be talking
they're going to
through
go and
any problems,
experience
my
this
friend.
thing, and then we're going to, you know,
You're like,
we're going to say, let's have a
luck.
chat.
see you in 10 years.
You know what I mean?
Not
So
even.
how do
18.
you
Yeah.
how do you do that? Like, how do you this
You don't at the beginning.
communicating? Okay, really?
Well,
like,
no, I mean, yes and no. Like a toddler's brain is, you know, not capable of, like, if you're going to do this long-winded story, they've lost you halfway through. You know what I mean? Like, I had a friend one time, they were like, I'm going to never say no to my child. I was like, good luck. Because
yeah,
that sounds like a lovely idea, but life has boundaries. Children need boundaries to feel safe, to feel like there's you know, kind of just boundaries. I was like, you know, if we do something wrong as adults, we go to jail. Obviously, the extreme sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are boundaries in life. So, like, if you teach your child that there are no boundaries, there's no. So, but I think what I'm trying to say is keep things simple, because you can communicate with your child 100%. It's quite amazing how capable they are at communicating. And the sign language is fantastic. Like, I cannot rave enough about it, because they can sign at around, let's say, 8 months, 9 months, depending on how well their motor skills are developing, and also how simple the sign language is. But usually they don't talk till about a year and a half. Like, totally depends on the child. But also my child was a bit late because bilingual. But yeah, they talk a lot later. So you've got like at least this kind of 6-month window, because some start at like 6 months doing sign language, 6-month window where they are communicating with you and telling you, like, I need to eat, I'm done, I need to go to bed.
Through tears.
Yeah.
something.
And it's a lot easier. You'll be like, oh, that's what it is.
And then are we, you know, as a parent, do you just work that out yourself? Like, is a kid leading this, or are you leading
No,
it?
you
Yeah.
model.
So where did you, for example, I remember like Isla, like food was like putting her fingers towards her mouth. So where did you get that sign language from?
Yeah, so everything was on Instagram. And like now, like I didn't have a Lorena one. I wish I did, you know, because like there's so many tools and tips that, again, what she said is like, you just have to follow what you believe is right. And like, you know me, like I'm a control freak, and like I want to control every situation. But like one thing I learned obviously through motherhood is you can control nothing, but the things that you should, which is one was like the communication. Okay, so if I don't want to only know what she wants through her screaming and crying, well, what can I do to support that? In the beginning, you're most days like, what the hell am I doing? I look stupid. I'm going, please, I'm going more. And she's just looking at me like, you know, with drool in her mouth, like, what the hell is happening? And then one
You're
day,
like, this isn't working.
Exactly. One day she does it, and you're just like, wow, that's 6 months of me every day going, no more milk. You know, it's like one of the days she just gets it, and you just have to choose 5. I chose 5 that would help, that they need most, whether it was milk, whether it's no more, whether it's eat, whether it's more, you know. I'm sorry.
And you can build on it as well. Like, yeah.
And you make your own. Like, this isn't the universal standard, please.
That's what I was thinking.
No, but
was
I
like,
chose this
just
as
chose that.
please. Because like, again, like what Lorena said before this podcast is like, it's just a means for me to communicate with my child, not for her to communicate with anybody else, right?
Okay.
And also some of the signs are actually more complex.
Yeah.
So sometimes simplifying it, again, it's not necessarily the correct sign language, but if it's between you and your child, and it means that they can actually do it from a motor perspective, then you can use that.
Yeah.
But just like going back to what we were saying, it's hard. Like everything that you do in the first year of your life is just like, it's never ending. And for what? Like how many times I said to myself being like, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? And then it was after that, all the benefits were reaped from it. Like tummy time, having them scream for a minute while you put them on tummy time in the beginning of their life.
That's a strength in the neck and the posterior
because
chain,
that
right?
then goes to your, obviously I'm not medical, but like with all the benefits that it has for your brain and for your motor skills when they turn left, right, for them touching things. Like my heart would break every time I would hear her cry on tummy time. The first, because I did it like as soon as she got back from the hospital. But then she gets stronger, stronger. That's when she rolled early, crawled early, walked, and like obviously that's not just because of that, but that's all part of it, right? But
No, it is. It
again,
definitely helps. It's huge.
it's
Yeah.
like it's hard work. And
So like, so
Again,
these,
what's hard? And look at Isla now. She's motor-wise way advanced for her age. Language-wise, way advanced for her age. Of course, genetics has a role to play. And of
that
course,
was going to be my next question.
yes, 100%. Like there are definitely things that you cannot control, just like in normal adults, everything else. But if you expose them, you are giving them a head start.
Yeah.
So, I see it all the time, and I get it. It is really hard being a parent. And nowadays it's not as easy as it used to be. You had mom stay at home and it was lovely and dad earned all the money. Nowadays, everyone's struggling to survive. Cash is hard these days. Both parents are working. You're usually in Hong Kong relying on a helper who might not know what they're doing or might know what they're doing, but might not be following what you're doing, or you don't have a helper and it's just really hard balancing everything. So I totally get it from that perspective. From a professional perspective and also a mom myself, I just really pushed where I could. And I encourage other parents to do the same because you are going to give them a head start. So for example, again, easy versus hard. And this is, again, you're going to reap your benefits if you go the hard way. Do I put my child in a bouncer? Do I put my child in this strapped in baby seat? Do I put them in something that's just going to mean that they sit there and they don't kill themselves pretty much because everything is dangerous for a baby? Or am I going to let them be free on their tummy? I have to be there, I have to watch them. They're going to potentially roll into something, crawl into something, whatever it is. Easy option, I put them in something and I can go cook for 20 minutes. Again, there is a time and a place, and there are moments, of course, where that is great and that is what it's there for. But if we do that all the time and stick them in front of a TV, we're not encouraging movement. We're not letting them explore. We're not letting them feel around their body and their space. And you're already taking things away technically. So, and I always say with everything, it's about, what's the correct word? Like, can't think of the word, but like balance, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's not the word I was looking for.
Trial and error, risk reward.
No, I think it's a balance in terms of like how much time, because somebody will immediately say, oh my gosh, can I never use a baby chair or whatever. It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a certain amount of time and you want to keep that window short. And same way with like, I'm not a big advocate for screen time, but if you're going to put them in front of a screen, keep it really short and keep it the right kind of screen content. And do it for a purpose so that you can go do something.
Yeah.
And then come back, switch it off and connect and play. And again, do the hard stuff. As Izzy says, at the beginning, it is so boring. I remember sitting with her. Again, I know this stuff. But she's 5 months old and you're sitting in tummy time and you're on the floor and you're like, here's another black and white book. Yay, pig, cow. What am I doing
And
this
you want to
for?
shoot yourself in the face.
And you're so bored. But it's exactly that what your baby needs. You're in their world. You're connecting. You're on the floor. They can roll. They can babble. They can ba-da-da. And even you just babbling back is such huge benefits. So all these things where parents are like, why am I doing this? But like, you have no idea. You being on your tummy with them, that parallel play, that's huge on connection. That babbling, huge on connection. Like all these small things that feel so pointless and so boring are actually big.
So I think my question is, because when I think about it, I think in my head, I see parents saying things like, oh, they're 7 months now, we've got to start doing this, or tummy time starts at this. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, I don't know what any of these like timeline milestones are. And so I'm like, I don't want to do something too early and potentially, do damage. So like, how does one, like, is there like this golden set of principles, or is it just like try? Because then it's like, it's not even just try and see if it works, because a lot of these things are delayed gratification, right? You got to do it, persevere through it, and then the rewards come maybe like 6 months down the line. So you don't really know if the thing you're doing is actually working. Like how does one find, like, at least like instill some level of confidence that I'm not killing my child by making them do tummy time too early or something, you know what I mean?
So tummy time, there is no too early. So there's the good news on that.
Yeah.
Good
Done.
news.
Easy.
But they'll probably not like it. I was really lucky. Ella she just didn't care. I don't know why.
Isla hated it.
Yeah.
She
Most
screamed.
kids, they scream and cry. Ella was just happy as can be. Now Ella, on the other hand, crawling wise, did this freaky thing that even as a professional, I was like, what is this? I've never seen this before. She basically went up on her heels, then lifted her bum like a bridge, went on the tip of her head, like literally breaking
That's
her
a
neck.
neck bridge.
Yeah, but like on her heel and tip of her head, and then would caterpillar and would get across the room. And I'm like,
That's like exorcism. That's some pretty exorcism stuff.
literally, like Phil
That
and I
would
were like,
scare the
oh my
shit
God.
out of
Yeah,
me.
we were like, this is, and she got fast quickly because she's, again, like I, like quite good with motor skills, but this is at 4 months. Phil and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, as an OT, I'm like, that's functional for her. She can get from A to B. That's functional. That means she's going to keep doing that, which is not good for her because that is not how we should be crawling. And I know the importance of crawling. So I'm like, you need to flip this like ASAP.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh no. Phil,
I'm just sorry, just pause you. I was just thinking about the parent who never steps in, and then there's this adult who only moves doing that. Oh my God. Sorry, that was very funny.
I mean, she was just
very funny thought.
It was like, I was like, what are you doing? So Phil and I stepped in and I was like, I actually have to teach her the right way quickly because I have to actually force her every time to go back on her hands and knees because she's too functional at it and this is long-term not going to benefit her. So that's where I stepped in professionally and I was lucky that I knew that. And she hated it because we kept flipping her and she was like, why? I'm so good this way. Like, why are you forcing me on your hands and knees? But anyways, where were we going with this point?
I think it was like the milestones, right? Like,
yes,
how
the
do you know?
milestones.
Like, how do you know?
Well, there are milestones that you
are.
will know them. Like 4 months, they should be rolling. Like 7 months, they should be crawling. Like there are milestones that you should know, and that's when, if they're not hitting them, that's when you would go to a professional. Obviously,
but there
plus
are
or minus
windows, yeah. And
yes.
I think the problem actually is that milestones happen naturally.
Yeah.
So, and we put way too
We've
much
tried
pressure
to
as
confine
parents
them
because we're like, oh, they're not walking by 1 year. Oh no.
Yeah.
And the amount of people who have that, but it's okay. Like a lot of kids don't walk at 1. So it's actually, I would say to parents, don't look at the milestones. Just go with the flow.
Just go with the flow.
And then you'll see if suddenly they're way behind because kids play with each other.
Yeah.
You'll notice if they're the only kid not doing something and, you know, everyone else is very confident in it. Let's say everyone's running and your child hasn't even figured out how to sidestep with couches. Okay, then we can start looking that stuff up. But I think it does become a problem when parents push too much. Like I see people walking with their kids and I'm like, you know, holding their body and getting them to walk on their feet. And they're like, haha, they're walking. And I'm like, actually, that's not good for their joints. And so don't do that.
Not ready for it yet.
They're not ready for that. There's a reason there's steps for things to build the muscle strength, to build the joints, to build everything. So, yeah, don't worry about the milestones. It happens naturally because I think the comparison is, again, a thief of the joy of that moment. You know, if they're 1 month behind, it's like, oh my God. But like, you're not enjoying that they're actually learning all these incredible things. Like what they learn from 0 to 1 and 1 to 2 is phenomenal. So yeah, take the pressure off with the milestones.
You mentioned something earlier. Do you want to
No,
jump
you go
in?
ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
You mentioned something earlier, and you said like looking at Ella, there was no red flags as an OT. What?
Except her crawling on
Okay,
her
apart
head.
from the exorcist thing that she did.
I was literally like, what's happening?
Yeah. So I think, you know, a lot of, correct me if I'm wrong here, but neurodivergent children, right? So I don't even know how to correctly define this, but I guess it's like, how does one know if you know, when there's all there's so many different timelines for development of a child, how does one know if their child actually needs the help, like what you were just saying? Like, what are the things that parents can actually use as I guess like a little assessment on the child to know if I need to go see Lorena or I need help, or because I think I'll leave it at that.
So there's kind of two. One is, I think, in general, and one would be more OT related. So let's go more with the general. So most things don't tend to come up until they're older. We're saying like 5, 6, 7, because you need maybe like 4 or 5, let's say, because it does take time for certain things. Certain things are very normal as a toddler. You know, it's, if we look at something like, my child has trouble with emotional regulation, it's very normal as a toddler. Toddler brain, there is no emotional regulation at that time, you know? So I think one of them is it takes time to realize what is norm versus and what is age appropriate. So until they're about 5, certain things like paying attention for a certain amount of time, being able to take in larger concepts, the learning, the academics, that's when you start to see, okay, they're really struggling with attention in the classroom, or they're really struggling to sit still. Again, developmentally, there are certain aspects that are still normal, but it's when multiple flags come up, that's when you would start to kind of look at. Now, so let's say a 5 or 6-year-old, okay, they can't sit still at school. Still developmentally pretty normal as a 5-year-old. However, they can't sit still at school. They can't pay attention to anything. They have trouble feeding themselves. They're really struggling with the motor skill aspect of writing. Now we're getting a few multiple flags. That's when it's like, okay, there might be more going on. Versus as a younger child, it's like if we're not seeing, for example, pointing, if we're not seeing any kind of eye contact or engagement, if there's no language, some kids, there's no language or very, very little. If we're not learning how to walk, or, if there start to be, a few flags that are coming up, I'd always say around at least kind of 3 things, because some of the flags might be small. If there's obviously a big flag, obviously. But yeah, I'd say 3 flags that kind of come up, and then you can seek professional help. And I always say, if there's some kind of gut feeling, again,
Yeah, I was gonna
go,
say.
because even if it's just maybe one thing, because early intervention is key. Early intervention is extremely important when it comes to these things, because that's when the brain is the most adaptable, or neuroplastic, as we say. So it means we can kind of rewire or strengthen the foundation of a child's nervous system a lot easier than when they get older. So it is one of those things where some people say, oh, well, wait and see. Don't wait and see. So even though I say it, sometimes it takes multiple flags. If as a parent you have a gut intuition, 100% go with it, and seek help. There is no harm in having one appointment and just asking a professional versus waiting and seeing. However, where I say the multiple flags, I'm thinking more from a teacher perspective or a school perspective. Oftentimes, like, some teachers will come to me and be like, oh, there's a handwriting concern. And I'm like, how old is this child? 3. And I'm like, that's not a handwriting concern. Like, that's still age appropriate, that they're not writing their full name and all the ABCs at 3. Versus sometimes here in school, that's the expectation. At 2, they can't get into a school because they can't write their name. And then they come to me and I'm like, they don't need RT. Like, they just need to go to a different school, like, from my perspective. So, yeah.
With these neurodiverse children, is this becoming more common these days? Because can I just say, like, from my like very limited understanding, I feel like it's a conversation I hear way more.
Yeah.
Or I've got people within my friendship circles who have neurodivergent kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's partly because we just didn't pick up on it back in the day, and that wasn't the thing that we knew about, and now we just know so much more. Or is it that, like, the human species is evolving to be, possessing more of these traits in children now? Like, have you got any thoughts on that?
So I think there's different aspects to that. I think, again, one of them is we are growing up differently. So less play, less movement. I do think that has an impact. Less being around our parents in terms of attachment, things like that. So that's kind of one aspect. So I do think we have gone way more to screen time, throwing them into school, less play, less exploration, all of that. That has a huge play on it in my opinion. And there's a lot of research happening as to why all of this is happening. There's obviously a lot of different avenues this is coming from. But I think another part is, and a huge part of it is, we are getting better at assessing. We are getting better at recognizing. Parents are also more open to it. Like, I think back in the day, it was like, nothing can be wrong with my child. We have to hide. There's a lot of stigma around it. Yeah. And shame. Versus now everyone's like, what's the big deal? Like, so is this person, it's okay. And it's
like
fine.
Therapy.
We're all different.
Therapy as adults was so frowned upon.
It was so frowned upon. You had to have a serious issue. You had to be either clinically depressed or something else to see a therapist. Whereas now people come see me for 6 months and then that's potentially it. Some kids see me for years, but some kids, they just see me for a short block and they're fine. And I think a huge part of it is parents are now a lot more open that if something is wrong, they quickly are to say, this is what I'm concerned about. I'm going to go seek help. And then I'm going to get the help I need, and I can see progress in my child. So I think there's a lot of positive around the fact that now we are more open to it and can assess more and all of that. But I also think there is an issue with how we're raising kids, because we're just getting a lot more digital and a lot more at home and all these things.
Yeah, so really going back on that point, I think it goes back full circle to what you're saying, like with what's easy. And I think of course, like I found myself in the situations being like, well, she's just so clingy right now. The easiest thing to do would be put on the TV, you know, but going back to emotional regulation and what's good for their brains, and like what Lorena was saying, being like, this is the age where their brain is the most malleable, that you can really teach them anything, do anything, make them the person you want to be at this age. That if I stuck her in front of the TV, we all know the benefits of that. Yes, some days I need to wash my hair and she won't let me wash my hair. Then I'll put on trash truck and I'll go wash my hair. I'm not saying I'm a no screen time person at all, but like what Lorena was saying is like, you have to do it for a reason. It's not just to make your life easier, you know, or what she was saying with like, honestly, going to work is the easy thing. Like staying at home with a toddler is
takes way more brain power,
it's
patience.
so hard. And it's like, but I know that's what's best for her, especially for the first 2 years of her life. Like me being as present as I possibly could was the best thing I could have done for her, to build her confidence, to build her emotional stability, and all of that kind of stuff. Learning from me, being around me, knowing she's loved and cared for. But how many days did I just wish, oh my God, I would rather be at work right now? You know, like again, it's choosing what's easy versus choosing what's hard. And it's all these little tools and tips like that I learned from Lorena as well. It's like, okay, I knew, again, I'm not a doctor, but it's like her dad definitely has ADHD. I definitely think I have ADHD. I'm like, what are the chances I will have ADHD, right? So like, I wanted to know what are the tools and tips I can help her from this age have these tools in her back pocket in case she one day needed it. So it's something like, instead of this visual schedule, I always did something vocal, being like, we're going to do this, then this. Or like, in 10 minutes, you're going to be done with this and we're going to do something else. And it's those small little things that now she's learning to regulate her emotions just by understanding that, okay, this has an end, something else has a beginning, you know, because in their little brain, it's just like, all of a sudden you made me stop having fun. I'm going to have a full tantrum meltdown, you know, and it doesn't work 100% of the time, but those little things she'll build on in her future. Or it's like, in the beginning, I would teach her how to take deep breaths. And like, it's like from blowing out a candle, because she knew what a candle was. So it's like, if she's about to like have a full-blown thing, it's like, Isla, let's take a deep breath. And like, now she knows what a deep breath is, and she'll be able to stop before something happens. But it's like, it's hard to do those things. You're like staring at someone who's literally wanting to like kill you because she's so upset, and you're like, take a deep breath, sweetie, when like the one thing you wanted to be is say whereas what you want to say is just shut the fuck up and sit down, you know. And it's like, how many times I've told Lorena and Phil, like, I understand why our parents hit us, I understand why they yelled at us, because it's the easy thing to do to get them to stop being little shits, you know. But it's
you do as a parent, you are very at your maximum threshold of patience at all times, pretty much. Again, what's easy, what's hard, but what's worth it. And even like, as you say, like, you know, the 10-minute, 5-minute, 1 minute, it's like, I always say to a parent, you know, because parents will come to me and they're like, oh, they get so upset when I take the iPad away. First off, again, screen time, all that stuff. But exactly. But, you know, I'm like, well, okay, imagine you're in a very important business email. You're typing on your phone. You're like, just got to quickly get this done. And I rip the phone away. I'm like, you're going to be pissed off as an adult. And I was like, whereas if I said to you, we got 5 more minutes and then we're going to go, you're going to be a lot more like, first off, you're going to finish your email really, really quick in those 5 minutes, but then you're going to, you're going to be happy to hand over your phone. So I'm like, same thing for kids. I'm like, you let them have fun and play, and they don't know what's next potentially, or even if they do, they don't know that it serves them well. Like, I'm taking you away from playground to go home to take a nap because I know as an adult that's what you need. But if I say to you, you know, we're going now, mid-slide, you're going to be really pissed off. Whereas if I say we got 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever, again, it's just going to aid that transition. But so I always relate that back to as an adult. And that's the thing, like, we forget to relate to these little humans like us. Like, they want choice. They want autonomy. As soon as they can, they're like, if you say the blue truck or the red truck, and if you give them that choice, they'll be like, blue truck, yay.
And that's another
so
thing I learned from
exciting.
Lorena. It's like always give them a choice. Never be the one being like, you're gonna wear this. Like then yes, they're gonna have a full-blown meltdown about putting their clothes on all the time. But if you say, do you want to wear the blue dress or the pink dress, they're less likely to have a meltdown because they want
You got
that.
50% already better chance of less meltdown. So it's like those small tricks that can help minimize. Doesn't take 100% away, but it will at least.
There were just so many, from everything that you guys were saying, it's actually calmed my nerves a bit because it's not dissimilar to just adults.
That's what I mean.
It's like we're actually the same things. And I think that the way that I speak to people around me and the team and trying to get the most out of people or trying to develop people, trying to develop our clients, doing this job for a really long time, it's all the same things.
Giving them autonomy.
Yeah. I think in the moment though, when you're like sleep deprived, when you just are like not yourself, you're emotional from all the hormones, like there's so many other things on your plate that you would rather be doing. You forget all of it and you just do like what we keep saying, what is easy. You're just like, you sit up, down, you're going to wear this, you're going to eat this. That's it. I need to go, because our lives, like we still have to live our lives. It's not like we can drop everything. Like it's not like a client where we're getting paid for that hour. You're not getting paid. You know what I mean? It's like you got somewhere else to be. Yeah, you got somewhere else to be after. And so that's why having all of this knowledge and tools in your back pocket is so important, because then you'll fall back on these tools. Otherwise, you'll fall back on what's easy and what you know to be well, right? So I think going back to like this emotional regulation and helping their physical capabilities, like things that I didn't know that I learned, like for example, when you're doing play, there are certain things that you can push on play to help your child be successful, like hanging, something I didn't know. So it's like, what are your top physical things that you should be doing with your child while they're playing?
Did you want to add to that?
No, that was exactly my question. I wanted to ask as well.
So, so as an OT, we work a lot with the sensory systems. So, and this is a huge part of the physical piece that we often do on the playground. So the 5 sensory system that everybody knows is taste, touch, sight, hearing, so auditory, and smell. So we all know what that is, blah, blah, blah. But there's 3 that we work with as usually occupational therapists, or sensory integration trained therapists, which is interoception, proprioception, and vestibular. Fancy words. Basically, interoception there are receptors in different body parts, different organs telling our nervous system, for example, your bladder's full, the receptors kick back, you got to go pee. Okay, great. So interoception has your tummy's hungry, all those type of things. Then proprioceptive system, the receptors are in our muscles and in joints. So every time I move my muscles and my joints, I get feedback to the nervous system, to the brain, where my body's in space. So again, I can do things without my eyes. I can do this without my eyes. I know it's number 2 because my proprioceptive system is feeding back to my brain. I know where my body's in space. I don't always bump into things, all of that. And then the third one is vestibular system. So actually our 8th one. And that one is the receptors are located in our inner ear. So it's the sensory system that is responsible for balance, spatial orientation, motion, in general coordination. So movement. And as a simple example, movement can be very calming or very alerting. So when you are trying to help a toddler who is about to go into a full-blown meltdown, giving them a certain type of movement can help reduce the meltdown. It might not take it away, but if you hit it at the right time, you can actually essentially stop it because you're calming down this nervous system. So as an example, linear movement, so forwards and backwards or side to side or up and down, is very calming. So think of rocking a baby to sleep. That's why we rock a baby, because it's soothing, it's calming. We drive on a highway that is straight for a long time, we get really sleepy because it's linear input. So anything in one direction, up, down, side to side, or forwards and backwards is calming. Now, if I know that, am I going to take my toddler and swing them around in a rotation? No, because that's going to alert them. So the opposite is rotational input, very alerting. So think of going on a merry-go-round. Yeah. Think of going on a roller coaster. You're going up, down, side to side, and you come off that roller coaster and you're like, woohoo! You're full of energy. You're full of just like
Sick, actually.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, and people are sensitive to the input as well. Also another thing. But yeah, so and actually as we get older, we get more sensitive in a way sometimes with roller coasters and things like that. But it's very alerting. So when I'm with my girl, for example, and I know, okay, we're going, towards the bedtime zoomies, or we're going towards the meltdown or things like that, I will purposely do calming input. So from a vestibular perspective, I'll do things like rocking over a ball with her. So I've got this gym ball, right? And I've got like a mini version for her, and I put her in a plank position, so prone, and I get her to go forwards over her hands. Now, when she's going into a plank and putting most of her body weight in her hands, she's also getting a lot of proprioceptive feedback. So through the muscles and the joints, I'm getting a lot of push and pull because I'm pushing and putting the weight into my hands.
I love doing that, by the way.
Yeah, it's very calming and organizing as well. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And again, there's active and passive. So when we get me back to the gym ball, because I will lose my train of thought, but when we do active from a proprioceptive standpoint, for example, things like hanging, you're getting that deep pressure through the joints because you're getting that push and pull effect. You're getting that heavy, what we call heavy work. Same thing for a toddler. I can be pushing a laundry basket. I can be going out into a plank on the ball and then getting squidgies and then rolling back. So there, as an OT, I'm combining two things. I'm immediately combining the proprioceptive system and the vestibular system. And if I put on calming music, I can get the auditory. If I dim down the lights, I can get the visual. And immediately I've got 4 systems that are calming her down, which is going to be very productive and successful and helpful. Now, opposite, if I've got a child who's lethargic, I can do active. I can do, I can get her to bounce in all directions and bouncing on the ball, left, right, center, reaching for this, reaching for that, hype music, bright lights, all of that. So I can really help by setting the nervous system up in a certain way. And going back to active and passive again, passive with proprioceptive system would be deep pressure. So think of, as adults, you get a deep pressure massage. As a kid, I might roll the yoga ball or the fit ball, gym ball, everybody has a different name for it, over them and make them into a flat pancake.
So they're not doing anything. You're actually just doing all the things.
Yeah. Or I roll her, now again, avoid neck and head, or I roll her really, really tight into a blankie and I squeeze her with sofa cushions. So I'm giving that deep pressure. And she's just chilling. And it's calming the system down.
We literally teach our athletes exactly the same thing. Like
it's all the nervous system.
Yeah, it's mental preparation for competition, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you've got a heavy lift.
Yeah.
Where we want maximal sympathetic drive. We want you to be fired up and like ready to rip a lion's head off.
To get yourself.
Yeah, we'll say like, I want you to hyperventilate, jump on a bike and sprint for 10 seconds, like get your body jacked up. And similarly, like, if we're about to start a 10K race, where we want to start nice and smooth and, not go flying out the gates, and you're feeling really excited and hyped up, maybe it's the first event of a competition, then like go put your headphones on, put some calming music, sit in the corner of the room, slow, deep breaths, count your breaths, count to 20. So it's exactly the same thing.
Well, we're so good now generally as a generation, I think everyone's getting more into what's helping ourselves, mental health, physical health, all these things. And we're getting really good actually now. I think regulation is a hot topic, which I'm really happy about as an OT. And so as adults, we know what to do. So it will be exactly that. I'm stressed out. I need to meditate. I need to listen to my calm music. I'm hangry. I need to fuel my body with the right foods. I need to exercise, whatever it is. And we're getting really good at that, but we forget that kids need the same.
Yeah.
And kids don't know what they need until they feel what they need. So kids do know what they need, but they need help to use the right tools. So oftentimes I'll work with kids, for example, with ADHD, ADD, and they're doing the right things. They are in class rocking. They're trying to regulate their own system. They're fidgeting with something. But the problem is, a lot of the times what happens is they do it in a way that is either inappropriate for the setting, or it's too destructive to others, or whatever it is. So then that's where I come in and I say, I love everything that you're doing, and we're going to keep doing those things, but we're going to do it in a way that is appropriate to that environment. So we are going to rock back and forth on a wobbly stool. So instead of you sitting in a chair, you're going to sit on a wobbly stool. Or I'm going to give you a fidget, like a Velcro that you can put under the desk. So instead of having a fidget that's in front of your eyes and really distracting for yourself, but also others, you're going to have a Velcro strip underneath the table that you can touch and fidget with, but you're not distracting anyone else. Or you're going to ask for a movement break. And this is what we're going to do. So we work together to figure out what works really well. Now that's older kids. And that's also, what my husband and I created all of this for, is to help kids advocate for themselves, because it's such an important thing. We forget that we just expect kids to do as they're told. Why? Why not give them a voice? And with toddlers, that's where we really, if we start teaching them slowly, like I get my little girl now, she grabs the squidgy toys. And when I show the squidgy toys, squidge, I don't know what the right term is. Anyways, these little things that you pop onto, I just always.
Like a sticky thing?
It's like a suction cup.
Yeah.
And it's a toy. I swear it's called squidge. Squidges, I don't know. Anyways, you put them on something. I use them all the time in OT, so I really should know how to pronounce it. But with kids, I can say whatever I want, so nobody judges. But anyways, when I show her that, she immediately points to the ball. And she knows, like, it's kind of like a 2-in-1. And she'll ask for it, or she'll ask for the client. Like, she's starting to advocate for herself. And I'm like, yes, girl, yes, we are going to do exactly that. And usually it's at the right time what she's actually kind of advocating for. So she's starting to feel it in her body. And that's where, if we give them the opportunity and we provide that type of play, they are going to start to.
When you say at the right time, do you mean like
before a meltdown?
Okay, before a
Well,
meltdown.
as an example,
or
if I
she's
give
she's
calming
just feeling
input,
energized.
yeah, if I give calming input, like for her, she loves to hang now because I've introduced her to that, and she's starting to feel that it feels good, So now on a jungle gym, and she'll go for the hanging, and it's, kids are very intuitive and they feel, right? So like if we introduce them to something, most of the time they'll use it at the correct time themselves. But it's about us introducing them to these concepts. Again, it's, as an OT, I'm very lucky because I know these things, right? But that's why I'm saying linear and rotational input is, for example, a super helpful thing. And basically, if you give deep pressure, it is always going to benefit your child because it's calming, grounding, organizing. So doing those burrito rolls, doing those squishes with the ball, hanging, those kind of things are not just, let's say for hanging, not just grip strength, not just core activation. You're actually tackling their nervous system. And nervous system is the foundation. The central nervous system is the foundation for anything else. If you are not regulated, you're not learning, you're not playing, you're not socializing, you're not doing anything else. So if we don't take time to build that and to let them explore in all the ways they need to, or we're going to have problems everywhere else. And I give an example. If a child is sensitive to tactile, let's say, so touch. Yeah. So
I have a daughter that's very clingy.
So
very hard.
So this is actually quite good. So light touch sends us into a fight or flight reaction. So think back in the day, if you suddenly had lion's hair, for example, or a spider, it's like, ugh! Even a spider nowadays, you feel something crawling, you're like, now imagine someone's like, sit still. You're like, but I've got this spider. Sit still. Why aren't you sitting still? Sit still. It's like, well, I've got this thing and I'm not going to listen to anything you're saying because I've got this thing on me. And until I get this thing off of me, I am not going to listen to a thing you're saying, or I'm not going to pay attention to anything else because my nervous system is like, get this thing off of you. So light touch equals fight or flight reaction, very alerting. Deep touch, again, calming. Deep pressure. So I've lost my train of thought, but basically the whole point is it's the foundation. You cannot focus if you are in a fight or flight reaction or anything. So same as an adult, if you're dysregulated and you're having an argument with your partner and you're dysregulated,
it's worse.
Good luck with that argument. Like, give it 10 minutes, chill out, and then go. Like my husband and I, we have the word amygdala because when we go into like fight or flight, because we're like, the resentment is there and I'm really angry and I'm sleep deprived. It's like, baby, amygdala. See you in 10. And then we just pause where we are, take a breather, go away, come back. And in 10 minutes later, we have a much more productive conversation. Yeah. Sometimes it takes longer than 10 minutes. That's okay. But it's just about that reset button. And
again, exactly the same as adults.
I think what's super key with everything that Lorena was saying is like, as the adult in the relationship, it's your responsibility to instill all of these things in your kids because they have no idea what's going on, right? And what, again, like going back to, they're just like happy to be there until they're not. And then it's like that, again, goes back to those moments where you're just like, what the hell am I doing? But then now I see in Isla, like, the massage. Like she'll just be like, Mama, massage, and she'll lie down on her belly and she wants to be massaged because she's just like played with her friends. She just came from the park and she needs help. Just
Or
to,
Ella
like,
gave her a massage.
yeah, or Ella will give her a massage because they'll just tell each other they want a massage, you know? And like it's just
Like,
amazing
who are
to
these
see
humans?
that. Exactly. Or if they've been playing in the house doing super wild, all of a sudden they'll be quiet and you'll see them under the little tent reading a book because they know,
just know they're regulating
it's
themselves,
time
yeah.
to, again, the tent is
Calm.
another thing. It's time to calm down, right?
Yeah.
Or Isla, she's had enough. She will tell me, Mama, I want to go home. And she's 2, like, you know, but it's
Yeah.
like, because in those times when we've seen them get riled up, we'd be like, it's time to sit down, or it's time to read a book, or it's time to be quiet, or it's time to go home. So they know that those signals of, if I'm here, Mama told me last time to go home, then maybe I need to tell Mama it's time to go home, you know? So it's like building those things. And sometimes you won't get it right. Sometimes they're out 10 minutes later than they probably should be. And that's when you get a full-blown meltdown, or they don't sleep at night because they're too
Yeah,
overstimulated,
you start to, I guess,
right?
pick up on the signs,
Exactly.
right?
You'll pick up on their
Yeah.
sleepy eyes, or on their all of a sudden whining about everything, or they're tripping when they're running more than usual. And you're like, okay, it's time to go. But it's our responsibilities as parents, which is hard. And oftentimes, like, to be truthful, it's not the aunties, you know, like they're there to look after your kid, but like they're not as invested in your child, so they probably won't do all these things. So that's why you need to be present as a parent in order to help your child be successful by implementing these tools.
The rocking stuff and that is really interesting because as you were talking about it, I was thinking about myself as a kid, and like I had a lot of those.
Did you like the swing?
I love swings.
Yeah, that's a
I
common.
would sit in and I'm talking like older years, by the way. I'm
18.
I'm
I
talking
love
like
the
secondary.
swing. I'm 18 years
I'm
old.
talking
and
like
it's all
secondary
there.
school. Yeah, that's actually quite accurate. But like I could never sit still on a chair, so I would always be the guy, you know, like on the balancing on the back 2 legs,
Yes.
and it used to piss my
Yes.
teachers off so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
But just automatically when I'd sit in a chair, I'd just shove
Push.
back and just
Yeah.
like constantly be finding the balancing point.
Yeah.
And I'd literally do that all class, and
Yeah.
like, you know, always get told. And the fidgeting stuff, like 100% me, but just like even just like the back and forth side to side motion, I find myself doing it a lot now. And I'm just seeing a lot
Well,
of
you were-
myself. Yeah.
Again, it's nothing wrong. You're regulating yourself. So that's okay. But it's when it, so again, and it's an important piece, it's when it impacts function that it becomes a problem. Like when you're going so extreme, you've got kids falling off the chairs and they're just zoned out because they're too busy trying to regulate themselves that they're not actually learning. So
Yeah.
for myself as an OT, it's only an issue once it impacts function. That's if anything, I'm happy you're doing all those things because you're regulating yourself and you should be doing those things. So, but yeah, I mean, we all have a nervous system. So
Yeah.
we're all busy regulating, and we just forget with kids that they have that. And I think, I don't know, you know, it's so interesting with education because it's the one thing that is just, there are a lot of amazing things that have changed, but at the end of the day, it's still one teacher with one TA with 20 to 30 kids sitting at a desk. Like, why has that not changed?
So
Why
tell-
are we
so
not
tell me, like,
standing?
if you
Why are we
could-
not, you know what I mean? Like,
If you could, because we asked this question to Michelle the other day, and we said, like, you know, if you could orchestrate or create, you had the power to create the perfect day for, let's say, kindergarten kids, right? Because I think it's close to where your children are. What would that day look like?
it would never be sitting at a desk.
Never. There's no desk at all.
They don't need to be.
So talk me through, what time are we starting? Like, how long's the day going on
Oh
for?
gosh.
Yeah, I want to
I
know.
really need to think about this. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I would know it as much as like the exact hours, but I think for me it would be something to do. So we're talking 3-year-olds.
Yep.
Nature. We're playing through nature.
Yeah.
So it would be outside. It would be physical. It would be climbing the tree, and then we are going to count by picking up sticks and counting how many sticks we've collected, and then we are going to do bear walks like we're in the forest, you know. So we're getting in the bilateral integration, we're getting in the coordination, we're getting in the heavy work, we're getting all those things. It would just be a lot more natural that I can get those senses in through learning and through play. And you're going to have kids who are going to take in so much more information. I mean, Ella literally, she's yet to go to school. So she's actually the oddball out. She's 2, not going to any school until she's 3.
And why did you make that decision?
Because of the stuff that I find is important, her foraging in the forest, her getting the real life experiences. And also, I have to say, I'm very privileged in that I have a consultancy job and I am allowed to keep her at home and have
Yeah.
the ability to, because a lot of parents, it's very almost impossible these days. So
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. But I was like, let me create a curriculum for her that is outside. That is every Thursday we try to go to the beach in the morning and we play in the sand and we build castles and, and suddenly from one day to the next, literally out of nowhere, she goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And I was like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I was like, I haven't shown a flashcard. I haven't done just every once in a while counting here and there, but I don't even think I've done 0 to 10. Out of the blue, she goes, 1, 2, 3, 4, says it in German. And I'm like, I'm the only one speaking German to her, except for obviously my side of the family, but they're not around. So I'm like, I've definitely not done 0 to 10 in German. And I'm like, oh my God. So they learn and they will, if they don't know the ABCs by 2, they'll be okay. They'll learn it when they need to. And for me, kindergarten would be very much outside, very much physical, very much learning by doing. We're pouring into the cup and we miss the cup. That's okay. No problem. We'll try again and we try again. And eventually you're going to get it into the cup and you're going to learn all these amazing things by just doing and not listening, but by doing. And I think that's my biggest thing is like, we take that kind of away from kids by sitting at a desk and learning from a PowerPoint presentation.
Thoughts?
No, I think like I've obviously chose to send Isla to half day school for reasons that I do believe that she benefits from that. I think when we were talking about what Isla can and cannot do, like I do think she was advanced for her age before I sent her at 2, and so she was able to do the counting and the ABCs and stuff. And for me, it was more of the social aspect, like instead of being, because I'm at work most mornings during that 9 to 12 time that she's at school. So it's like instead of just being with her auntie during that time, I wanted her to be with friends and people and to learn. I did want her to learn authority, because I do feel like in the world and in real life situations, you are going to have authority other than your parents. And I do feel like she needed that, especially because it's only me. She doesn't have a dad for that in her. And in the afternoons, I'm very much like Lorena, where she's outside. She's either in mini sport, which is outside, or she's in the playground, or they're doing play groups where they're in the pool. I'll take her to the beach, all that kind of stuff. So I do have a lot of more of the day that she is outside, because I do believe in everything Lorena says. But in the beginning of that day, I do want her to be social. I do want her to have structure, because I do believe that that's essential for life. And I do think that school is building her resiliency and her ability to do hard things, because like it's not easy leaving your mom every morning to go with people that you don't really know and to be amongst a group of other people and kind of hold your own independence. And I do see a lot of that, how much she's grown in that way. Like we both know Isla a year ago, she was very timid and didn't like
Super
people,
shy, yeah.
super shy, and now she's the complete opposite. She's the one singing, laughing, dancing, like going to everybody. And so I do think she's grown so much because of that. And it's just different family environments. Like I can't provide that for her because I'm at work.
I've learned so much from this podcast. Like genuinely, this has like massively eased my mind thinking about parenting.
That's
Even though we've
awesome.
been talking about a lot of like maybe like high level concepts within parenting, it's in a way for me, it's made it feel a lot more simple, because I'm looking at it as like, oh my God, there's this whole nother skill set. And I'm thinking honestly, I'm choosing to be super busy at work, and my day ends and I'm like, I haven't read a book about children today.
Don't.
And I start panicking. I'm like, I'm looking at the clock ticking down. I'm like, I'm looking at Izzy and how she raised Isla, as a single parent. I'm like, she knows so much shit. I don't know any of it. I'm like, I'm going to be behind. Like, where am I going to find time? We're grafting hard right now, some projects at work. And I know like, it's like, my foot is down on the gas right now. And I'm like, but then, hearing everything that you guys have talked about and hearing it from someone with, with your knowledge, expertise and education has really like put my mind at ease. There's not to say that I'm not going to read
really
any
nice to
books.
hear, though.
No, but seriously, like honestly, like one of the most impactful podcasts I think I've had
that's
and
amazing.
done in a really,
Yay.
really long time, that's actually like truly like affected me. Maybe that's just because
You're
that's
in
the
becoming
phase
a
of
dad.
life
Life,
I'm in right now.
Yeah.
And it's something I've been thinking about a lot. So yeah, thank you so much.
You're
The
welcome.
last question we need. She's
No,
excited for that
we're
one.
not at the last question just
But
yet.
I
I just
think-
wanted to share that.
No, but I'm thank you. And I'm really
Yeah.
happy that it's helped. I think today's society puts so much pressure on everyone, whether it's the child and what they need to do, save the world, get all straight A's, be perfect child. And, it's so hard to find a job. Same as adults. Like, we put so much pressure on new parents. And again, like tuition, like I remember in pregnancy, even I was like, oh my God, I should be reading all these books. And then I was like, but it was more about pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? Like, should I though? Because actually,
In your gut.
and I'm like, let me go with this process a little bit. And like, let me just enjoy it. If I read all these books about what I should be feeling or what I shouldn't be feeling, I'm going to start panicking. And
Yeah.
it's the same with parenting. Like, when something comes up, of course you can do a bit of research, but like, you'll figure that out when it comes. And to be honest, you'll probably forget half the things you read anyways. So you might as well read it when it's applicable.
And you don't know what child you're going to have.
Yes.
And I think that's what
children are so different.
So different.
That's what we've said. It's like the beautiful thing about being in Hong Kong is everything is a few minutes away.
Yeah.
There's a
Or
million
YouTube.
people that we know that we can call, ask for some advice, go onto YouTube, listen to a podcast. And it's like, we can fix, we make a mistake and tomorrow we won't make the same mistake again. Right.
Yeah.
And I think just reminding myself that it's like, it's going to be okay. You're going to figure it out.
And part of parenting is also making mistakes. We're human, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, my first question to you is, where can people find out more about you and how can they work with you?
Okay. So I guess first and foremost, if you're in Hong Kong, you can see me at Central Health. So I work at a clinic, and I also work in schools. So if your child happens to be going to Kellett or Melbourne College, I also work there. So that's where you can just access me. You can obviously email me at Central Health and I can happily help. But you can also see me on Instagram. So ot.lorena. You will hopefully get some practical tips on there for
everything about your kid.
Yeah,
not
everything.
everything.
Yes, no.
no.
You can
I'm
get
going to
anything
be-
that you need on
It's
that
pretty- I'm
I'm
page.
going to be
pretty
scrolling
news.
through that page a lot.
You can get a lot that you need on
Yeah,
that page.
hopefully something practical. Yeah.
Lorena, we have a closing tradition on this podcast
Yes.
and we ask our guests a question. The question to you is, what is a mantra or a quote that resonates with you right now?
So this is a great question because usually I don't have one, to be honest. But at the moment, I actually really do. And it started, there's a whole backstory to it, but basically it's show me how good this life can get. So I keep speaking to, I believe, a lot of different things, but I keep kind of just throwing out there to my grannies who are somewhere out there / the universe. And I just say, show me how good life can get and see what comes my way.
Love it.
I love that.
Lorena, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank
You're
you.
amazing and we've
Thanks.
really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's fun.
Thank you. We did it.
Before we say goodbye, here's one crazy statistic for you. Did you know that almost 40% of people who listen to the show don't actually subscribe to it? Now, I didn't think that was a big deal until I actually learned about the power of hitting subscribe. For you, the listener, you get to stay up to date when we drop episodes on a weekly basis. But for us as a podcast, it really helps our visibility and helps us attract great brands and great listeners to help grow this podcast. So if you enjoyed this episode or you're a big fan of the show, please do us a massive favor and hit subscribe. Thank you so much.